The 9th, and you're watching WGXA Morning News right here on Fox 24. I'm Terrell Bailey.
And I'm Camille Gale. Victoria DeCardenas has the morning off.
All right.
Let's take a look at some of the top stories for you this morning. Two California utilities will likely cut the power to nearly 1 million people because of the threat of wildfires.
Plus, the NBA and China continue to face off surrounding a controversial tweet from the Rockets' general manager.
But first, a U.S. ambassador was set to testify, but at the last minute, he chose not to. There was a high drama on Capitol Hill when a possible critical witness in the impeachment inquiry was blocked from testifying at the last minute. Sinclair's chief political correspondent, Scott Thuman, has been following every dramatic move and has what it all means from Washington.
What Democrats wanted Tuesday was to see and hear from this man, Ambassador Gordon Sondland. What they got was a no-show. At the last minute, the Trump administration barred America's ambassador to the European Union from testifying, to the dismay of Democrats who think Sondland could clarify if President Trump requested Ukraine's help investigating Joe Biden in exchange for military and financial aid.
The American people have the right to know if the president is acting in their interests, in the nation's interests, with an eye towards our national security, and not in his narrow personal political interests.
This whole thing is a fairy tale. Adam Schiff is misleading you, and you're playing along with it. Many of you are, and the American public is then getting deceived.
President Trump tweeting, "I would love to send Ambassador Sondland, a really good man and great American, to testify, but unfortunately, he'd be testifying before a totally compromised kangaroo court."
You think about what the Democrats are trying to do. Impeach the President of the United States 13 months prior to an election based on an anonymous whistleblower with no firsthand knowledge who has a bias against the president.
It's not just Sondland's testimony being withheld. Democrats say the ambassador has a private device with texts and emails the State Department now has and refuses to hand over. All of it, they argue, evidence of obstruction and will start issuing subpoenas. Through his attorney, Ambassador Sondland said he was willing to be here, flew all the way from Belgium just for this, and is, quote, profoundly disappointed. He added that he is ready to testify on short notice as soon as he's allowed. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
Sticking with Washington, the number of the day looks at the impeachment proceedings against President Trump. 51% of Democratic voters believe the president is likely to be impeached and removed from office. However, a ScottRasmussen.com national survey found a big difference when compared to other political parties. 27% of independents and only 20% of Republicans actually think the possibility of impeachment is likely.
Well, as we're starting things off this morning, you want to get out there with your dog. It is going to be cloudy for many of us early on, but temperatures very nice as we're starting things off. Many of us are in the upper 60s for this morning. You also have a light breeze, so it might sound a little bit warm for this time of year with these low temperatures, but with that light breeze we have coming from the north, it's feeling just a little bit cooler outside. Of course, by the middle of the day, that's still going to be a great time to take out your dog for a walk. We're still going to be looking at the mid-70s. This is probably the coolest we're going to see around lunchtime for a while. In fact, yesterday we were already up into the 80s, and many of us did reach close to 90 yesterday, especially south of Warner Robins. But for this afternoon, that front's going to pass everyone by, which means we're in for cooler temperatures later on today. Now, if you just want to know what it's going to be like at the fair for today, it's going to be a great one down there in the Perry area. High temperatures will range between 83 and 85. That's going to be because the clouds are going to be in both Macon and Warner Robins for today are still going to be there after it clears out of those areas until about 6 or 7 later tonight for the Perry area. But again, no good chance of rain with the cloud cover we're seeing across the area for now. And as we get into Thursday and Friday, plenty of sunshine expected before Saturday brings us our next good rain chance. And with that chance of rain, we're also going to have potential for some thunderstorms. And it's going to be coming from this front that you see right here. Lots of cool air behind it, but you're also seeing some snow moving into places like Montana and the Dakotas here over the next day. I don't think we're going to be having too much of that, obviously, but we could be looking at some smaller areas of some severe weather developing in the middle of the country. So coming up in 10 minutes, I want to talk more about the effects we can see from this front besides that cool down.
Right now, we want to give you a live look into your morning commute. Our cameras are on I-75 near Sardis Church Road. It's looking a little slow. People are just waking up, heading to school and work this morning. If you're in the area, be sure to watch out for any road work that might be going on. But right now, I think it's moving a little smooth. One side smooth, one side slow. Not too bad. Not too
That's
shabby
good.
this
That's
morning.
good. Not too shabby this morning. Well, moving along, an act of kindness during a tragedy has helped one family lay their loved one to rest. A Middle Georgia man gave the family more than $1,000 to help bury a child who lost his life in Fort Valley. Braden Monlin was killed on September the 28th. He was laid to rest on Monday, and one man made sure to help the family out in this difficult time. Demarius Spencer was born and raised right here in Middle Georgia, and while he never met the 4-year-old and didn't even know the family, he felt obligated to help after family and friends created a GoFundMe account.
They was trying to come up with a certain amount of money to get the funeral taken care of, because if they didn't have it by 5, that the child wouldn't be able to have a proper burial. So I wanted the family to, be a little bit relieved, because, they was under so much pressure and grief at the time that I just didn't want them to have to worry about something like that.
And just hours after the GoFundMe was posted, Spencer decided to pay the balance in full, more than $1,500.
Alabama Judge Stephen Reed has won a runoff election and will now be the first Black mayor of the city of Montgomery. Reed is a Montgomery County probate judge with 98% of precincts reporting. Reed has just over 67% of the vote to his challenger's 32%.
Let the record show tonight, above all, show what we can do when we come together in this city and we build around positivity, around opportunity, and all the things that tie us together, rather than those things that keep us apart. Let the record show that this is what we can do as a community, as a city, and let this go far beyond Montgomery, let it go far beyond Alabama, and let it go far beyond this nation. That we made a statement here tonight, and I thank all of you.
Well, moving along, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the events we're going to be covering on WGXA today. At around 10, we'll be at Warner Robins Air Force Base. Their officials will be dedicating a statue to honor Eugene Ballard, the world's first African-American fighter pilot. Then at 11, we'll be at the annual Night to Unite kickoff event at the Tubman Museum. Night to Unite is an annual event that encourages the community to unite against crime. Then finally, this evening around 5 o'clock, we'll be with Macon officials as they hold a tour of progress around downtown Macon. Officials will actually give an update on some current and pending projects. So, of course, you can expect those stories and more today on WGXA. Be sure to stick with us both on air and online for further updates.
And the NBA and China are still at odds. The latest developments coming from the dispute and what one NBA commissioner has to say about it.